Welcome to the Invested Dads Podcast, simplifying financial topics so that you can take action and make your financial situation better. Helping you to understand the current world of financial planning and investments, here are your hosts, Josh Robb and Austin Wilson.
All right. Hey. Welcome back to the Invested Dads Podcast, a podcast where we take you on a journey to better your financial future. Today, Josh, we are going to be talking about NFTs.
NFTs. That stands for never or non-fart trustables.
Something like
Don't
that.
Trust a fart, right?
Never trust a fart.
Never trust a fart.
No.
Oh, no.
Actually, they stand for non-fungible tokens.
Okay, so you're investing in mushrooms. Nice.
It does kind of seem like it could be something mushroom-related, but yeah. Not really. They've really been popular this year, specifically in 2021. They kind of picked up a little bit of speed in 2020 as people
had some money
to blow, which sounds like that's happening again this year. So, non-fungible tokens are essentially digital art, and they're selling like hotcakes. If hotcakes went for millions of dollars, and I'm a fan of a hotcake, but I'm not going to pay millions of dollars for it, so I'll just take it for what it is. So, yeah. That's an NFT, non-fungible.
And you said it's going for a ton of money.
Millions, some of them. Some very cheap, 99 cents.
Right. Help me explain this, because
when
I'm thinking of tokens, like, is this Bitcoin? What are we talking about here?
So it's a great question. So fungible is the key word here.
Okay.
A fungible thing is not unique. It's commoditized, right?
So something is fungible.
It's like everyone's got one.
You can have it.
So like food. Fungible. There's interchangeable food. You can buy
mushrooms
a gallon of milk. Mushrooms would be fungible, yes.
Fungibles.
Oil is fungible. A gallon of oil is a gallon of oil. A piece of currency is fungible. A dollar bill is essentially a dollar bill. Mm-hmm. They're all interchangeable with other ones like it.
Or, because I know we're going to get into this, a baseball playing card is fungible because they make more than one of these things. Like, I could have a Ken Griffey Jr. baseball card, and you could have a Ken Griffey Jr. baseball card that look identical to each other, right? Because there's more than one made.
Right.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I guess that is a good point. So the second that item becomes unique in any way, it becomes non-fungible. So therefore, it's not interchangeable with another item. There's only one out there. So this is an example from techradar.com. I'll link that article in the show notes, but it says, and I quote, "Think of the Mona Lisa. You could take a photo of it and hang it on your wall, but it wouldn't be the same or have the same value as the Mona Lisa that resides in the Louvre." That's my French, by the way.
Louvre.
Much like other original paintings, the Mona Lisa is non-fungible in that it's unique. A non-fungible token is a digital representation of that. Someone might have a copy of the same digital artwork, but it's not the original file. So that's just it. The original digital file is what we're talking about here.
Right. So like I could buy a copy of the Mona Lisa that someone made, and they sell those at the gift store right there.
But did you buy the Mona Lisa?
It's not the Mona Lisa.
Exactly.
Gotcha. And so this is saying I may have a digital picture, but I don't have the original one.
If you have the original digital
that's where
item,
the value is.
That's where the value of a non-fungible token is. So, for example, like an original photographer's picture. Mm-hmm. Your wife's a photographer.
She is.
She could have a non-fungible token business.
Oh boy,
this is an original Steph Robb.
Yep.
And because it's original, it's not a copy of the original file. It is the original file. That one can have value. Where technically you could copy that file 5 million times.
Yeah. I can hit copy and paste.
But anything outside the original becomes commoditized.
And the value is the token piece proves it's the original.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're going to get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that is kind of where that gets its value. And essentially from that point, it's supply and demand. Mm-hmm. There's one of these originals.
Yep.
So there's a fixed amount of supply, and it's really low, and people will pay as much as they want for that. So yeah.
And we're talking about, this could be just about anything digital. So, and I've seen, and there's been some news articles about this, even a sports clip, a video clip of a sports event, like a dunk in basketball or a home run or something like that. If you have this thing turned into this non-fungible token to have the original clip, you own the rights to that.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you get a royalty any time somebody uses it. In fact, it could be all over the internet. but you have the original copy of this provable digital art, entertainment,
Correct.
whatever you want to call it, and that's where the value
Yeah,
is.
it can be a picture, an original picture. It can be an original song, the digital file of that original song, an original video, even original digital trading cards or holographs or videos or whatever you're talking about. That's kind of where you get that. It's the first one. It's the original one that the artist or whoever made it left their mark. That is where the value is on that.
And digital's exciting in that it's easier to store.
You
Can't
just
be
cloud
ruined
or
by
hard drive
fire
yeah.
or anything like that. Like as long as you have that protected, it's not like it's exposed to being degraded here in the real world.
Right.
Where if you hang the Mona Lisa, they have to protect it from it being ruined just from the atmosphere.
Yes.
So that's some values. Maybe it lasts longer potentially.
As long as there's an internet.
Yeah, a way to show the digital.
Exactly.
All right.
So, Josh, that's NFTs. I think that our listeners are already a little overloaded with
It's so hard to
non-fungible
comprehend,
tokens
yeah.
because it just, and to me and you, we talked about this off the air, but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's weird,
especially because
I'm as a kid traded baseball cards.
Right.
I collected them. I liked them. I still have some at home.
Yeah.
just for fun.
Yeah.
I don't understand why I'd ever want to pay money for a digital baseball card.
Right.
But they're at this point even more valuable than these cards I've had for a while.
The part that I have
crazy.
a problem with is the fact that if you copy and paste the digital file, you can have an exact 100% duplicate. Now, it's not the original one, but for my purposes, it's the same.
Yeah.
So, like, why do I care if I have the original or not? But I'm not the target audience of an NFT, person who's putting those on the marketplace or whatever. So, Josh, hit me up. Dad joke of the week.
Here's some a little more fact-oriented.
Ooh.
But I just need to know if you know your geography.
I don't.
Which country's capital is the fastest growing?
I have a feeling it's a funny answer, so I'm not going to. Nah, I got nothing.
It's actually Ireland's, because every year it's Dublin. That's how fast they're growing. They're doubling.
That is funny. Yes. I have never been to Europe. Have you been to Europe?
I have not.
I'm going to go to Europe one day.
Yeah.
Probably not, getting in and out of Europe with COVID going on.
Maybe
Still kind of a little bit challenging, but Ireland and Dublin specifically.
Sounds like a fun place.
It sounds like Guinness all over the place. They call it
so much
football, but it's
history.
soccer.
Yeah, there's just so much history that they have buildings older than the United States.
I know.
Like, it's just crazy.
Well,
like if you think of Europe in general, like the culture and the history is just crazy.
I know.
So,
The U.S. is, 250 years old or whatever?
well, I was here before that, but
yeah,
the modern
the
United
country,
States of America. Yep.
Our country, 250 plus years old now, but Europe, they blink and they've got 250 years of history. But medieval times and before, there's all kinds of stuff going back to Roman.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy.
Was the current queen, was she around 250?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was still the queen early.
Well,
yeah.
she was in school
She's been
then.
around for a while.
She was in school there.
That's right.
So that is the dad joke of the week. Josh, you might ask me the question.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh, you could.
How does this NFT get its value?
Yeah. So people will pay more money for things that are more desirable and more rare. Supply and demand, right? We've talked about this a lot. So the market sets the price. So especially with these items we've been talking about, there's literally one original of this artwork or this picture or this whatever song, video, hologram, whatever. However much people will pay for that is how much it's worth to someone. So, I mean, it's kind of the same as any stock. It's all about what people will pay. And if there's more buyers out there than sellers, the price of these things will go up. But in this case, your supply is limited, ultra limited.
Yeah, I mean, you can make whatever you want original, but does somebody want it?
I think I need to go, I could start a business snapping pictures.
Not even pictures, just go into your Microsoft Paint, get your little paint going.
This is one
make
of
a digital,
one. Yeah.
pretty picture of flowers or whatever you can do with your mouse. And,
someone is doing that right now.
And
they're going to quit their actual job, and they're just going to go sell NFTs for $6 million.
That's right. And what I think part of this is too, is I think there are people with money that have maybe some sort of distrust in normal investments, and they're looking outside of normal stock market investing to put extra money. And so you look at part of why, like, you see digital currencies doing so well. And again, the underlying fundamentals there, I have a little bit easier time understanding than this, but in general, it's all based on the assumption that other people agree there's value there.
Right.
If everybody tomorrow decided Bitcoin has no value, it would go away. And the value would go to zero. There's no backing of it.
It's not like a stock or a bond.
Or even U.S. currency. I mean, there's currencies backed by government.
Yeah.
Whereas Bitcoin has no underlying backing of anything. And so this is the same way in my mind, but people are gravitating towards it because it's something different and they don't feel like maybe they're at a disadvantage. Whereas you saw even, we did an article or a podcast on GameStop and how part of that had to do with just this, David versus Goliath. You got the big hedge funds versus the little investor, and how it's kind of stacked in the favor of the big investors. And so maybe this is part of that too, is like, okay, this is something that can't be manipulated because it's guaranteed. I know if I own this, it's no one else can tell me otherwise. I have the proof that this is original.
I kind of view this as, actual art investing meets cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Because art investing and investing in expensive and fancy and ultra rare art has been around forever.
Yes,
and it's done very well historically, but not a lot of people have access to it. For one, because you have to know people, you have to know where to get it, and it's very, very expensive. Yes. This is like that was someone who was in between generations of the crypto generation and the art generation. They're like,
oh
man, I love Bitcoin, but also I love the Mona Lisa.
Yes.
Let's just make a non-fungible token.
That's right.
Of some art. So it's like it's the middle ground there.
I mean, but I would think if someone that tech savvy would have come up with a better name than non-fungible tokens. So. I mean, Bitcoin, that's catchy.
That's catchy. They're not going to be flashing, at least thus far, they're not flashing random tokens. NFT tickers across the bottom of the screen on Bloomberg. So, yeah, it's interesting.
But the whole point is you buy this token, hoping that it'll be worth more in the future, right?
As with anything.
There's not much you could do with it. It's not like you can I guess you could put on a screen digitally if it's something you can show, a picture or a video or something.
You can't transact with
music,
it.
You could listen to
So,
it.
like, your
somebody
example
else has to buy it from you.
Yeah, your example of cryptocurrency, a lot of the cryptocurrencies you can actually make transactions with on the web, around the world, instantly, whatever. This, you're using currency to buy this digital asset and store it, and then you need to sell it on a marketplace where you'll probably have a cut taken, and then you turn that into currency again. So, yeah.
Extra step.
It is an extra step. So, you could own multiple NFTs, and why you would do that, like you had just mentioned, that is really because you want to make money. You just believe it's going to go up in value. Or in some cases, and this is a thing that I found very interesting, you can actually structure your sales of your NFTs so that you can automatically receive cuts of subsequent sales. So,
interesting.
So Josh, you recorded an original rap album in the late 90s.
Because I spit fire, yep.
You drop in mics and like it's hot. Right. And so you name your song.
Well, that would have to be Donuts Are Forever.
Donuts. So your number one single, "Donuts Are Forever."
That's right.
It becomes
infinity. You put two donuts next to each other, you got infinity.
That's perfect. So then that's your single. You have the original recording, and then you can say, "Okay, I'm going to sell this in the open market with a disclaimer that every sale I want a 10% cut because I think that Donuts Are Forever is going to go forever and be huge."
Yeah.
So then that's what happens. So you sell your song for $5 million because that's what I would pay for it, and then it just keeps going. And you just rake in the dough.
Someone sells it for $7, then I get a cut of that.
Yep.
And then someone sells it for $9, and I get a cut of that. Wow.
So you better start digging up those old files. Right. So that's why you would want to own an NFT because you think it's going to. There are ways to make money of it. So music sales, I think, is a way to actually make a sustainable. So like if an artist wanted to put their original collection, that is something.
And I've seen some, again, going back. To me, if we're going to talk about this making sense somewhere, original art that was made digitally and music makes sense to me because those are things. What I have a hard time with is, and I saw these early on, was they're made, like I mentioned, a sports clip of LeBron James dunking a basketball, like his first dunk in the NBA.
Yeah.
Okay, but I can also go to YouTube and watch that exact. Like,
Right.
I have a harder time associating value with owning the non-fungible token of that video.
I agree.
When what am I going to do to this? I can't monetize that.
But an original recording
But
of
the
a song
original- of a
or an
song,
original picture.
There may be value in that.
Yeah.
Because I control. But like those clips are everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
they're out there. So
I know.
it just comes back. So like again, trading cards. You have a baseball card. If there's a new digitally created rookie card of somebody that it's one of one of that, then maybe there's value there. If somebody really wants to collect that. I don't know what they do with it, but they collect it and hold it and put it on the screen.
Put it on their
something.
hard drive. I don't know.
Maybe that's their desktop. I'm no more with this desktop.
It's an expensive desktop potentially.
So.
So, Josh, the coolest that I think about NFTs is that NFTs use blockchain technology and to transact, do all the transactions and to store
old
and
block
all that
and
stuff.
chain
The old
technology.
block and chain. It's forever.
Yes.
It goes on forever. So here we are. It is 2021. We're recording this. We are going to include a 2-minute snippet just to fill you guys in on what the blockchain is and how it works. And this is a 2-minute snippet from our Cryptomania episode from last year, and we go into a bit of detail on that. So we're going to plug that right here. We'll link that episode in the show notes if you want to listen. So here you go. So pretty much a blockchain is a time-stamped series of records of data that's managed by a bunch of computers that aren't really owned by any one entity. So these blocks of data, they're secured and bound to each other using cryptographic principles. So kind of like the principles of cryptography where you're communicating very securely and stuff like that. So the blocks are then stored on a digital ledger, invisible to anyone. And Bitcoin is widely viewed as the first cryptocurrency in 2009 when it came out. And since then, there have been more than 6,000 different alternatives created, according to Wikipedia, which there's a link in the show notes there. So kind of going from crypto builds on the technology that is blockchain. So,
All right. You know who is an expert of blockchain?
who's that?
Flavor Flav. Oh, wait, no, that's clock chain. Never mind. Sorry, missed that one.
I think we need to get you a clock chain to wear during recording.
So how does that work, though? Describe to me what this blockchain. I mean, you said it, but walk me through it.
Yeah, at a pretty high level. So there was a great graphic on an article from blockgeeks.com, a website that actually is about blockchain and crypto. There's a great graphic, and I'll throw a link to that also in the show notes where you can kind of see how this looks. But overall, someone requests a transaction, and then the transaction is broadcast to a person-to-person network, which is really made up of a bunch of computers known as nodes. And then that person-to-person network of nodes validates the transaction and the user's status using some known algorithms that are really public and really easy to for those people who know what they're doing to understand. And then once verified, the transaction is combined with other transactions to create a new block of data for the ledger. So that's the block part. And then the new block is added to the existing blockchain in a way that's permanent and unalterable and visible for everyone. And that's the chain part. So that block of data gets connected to other blocks of data, and it becomes a block chain. And then after that, the transaction is completed. So yes, that was blockchain in a nutshell. So just like, I'm using air quotes on a podcast, mining Bitcoin, you can mint, is my other air quote here, NFTs and sell them on exchanges. So that's like,
So I could mint one?
You could. If you have an original of something,
I can make it into an NFT.
And sell it on an exchange.
Wow. Okay.
You might have to look into this tonight.
I'm loading up paint right now.
With an iPad with a pencil?
Oh, man.
You could
My
go
drawing's
nuts.
going to be intense.
You could go nuts.
Okay. Is this one of those things, though, that over time it's going to get harder to mint? Like the mining gets harder in Bitcoin?
No.
So it's not because it's like a
How
algorithm
quickly can
type
you
thing?
turn an original digital something onto the internet?
I don't know.
Really quickly.
Fast upload.
Thus far, it seems that there is not any of that throttling because there's no supply limit. So with Bitcoin, from the beginning of Bitcoin's inception, there has always been 20 million Bitcoin ever to be mined ever. Mm-hmm. And we've known that.
Yep.
That's just part of the algorithm. But as far as NFTs go, there's, as of now, there's the sky's the limit. You can create whatever you want. And whatever someone will pay for it is what someone will pay for it.
All right. I think what I'm going to do is just start drawing the numbers, and then that'll be the original NFT of the number 101.
You need to claim that.
What'll be confusing, though, will be the 2. It'll be 1 of 1 of 2. And so then people really not know what's going on, but then it'll be more valuable because it's like, what is this 3 of 101 or 3 of 102? But 2 is 101.
Wait till you make 3.
So that's what I'm saying.
I
It'll
know.
be,
This is deep.
see? And then people really want this because they'll be like, there's a series going on here. I got to have the whole series. And then I'll be like, you don't know when I'm stopping. I could be going with 4. It's not. It might be coming.
So, Josh, ask me the $1 million question.
So what is this? We're talking to people who have some money. Should they be investing in this?
Well,
is this even investing?
That is the maybe multi-million-dollar question.
Yes.
As an NFT picture sold for like $69 million on Sotheby's.
Yep. And we just saw
$69 million.
Digital clothing shoe. What was it?
Shoe, yeah.
Digital shoe sold for $3 million.
I know.
Digital shoes.
When does
for
it
your
end?
Digital feet.
When does it end? Okay, so yes. Is this investing is the question. Should you invest in it? Well, in a way, it's investing in the sense that you are thinking it's going to go up in the future. But in my mind, I call that speculation because it's not really it's completely market driven. There's no underlying fundamental reasoning behind this, right? So I think it's kind of similar to the way that we think of cryptocurrency as you're just speculating on supply and demand in the future, and that's really it. So there's no underlying business case, but it certainly could be viewed as an asset because it's something you actually own, and it's something that you think could go up in the future.
Yeah, and I'll agree. You know, our approach is definitely understand what you're investing in, make sure you're diversified, and make sure that your diversification and your asset allocation matches your long-term goals. That's what we say in and out all the time. Like Bitcoin, like some of the other things we talked about, if this is intriguing to you and you can see some long-term potential, just be careful. There's just a lot of volatility in this. Owning something that is really relying on someone else wanting to pay you more than what you paid for it is really how this works. And so you hope that down the road, whatever that digital token of value that you have, someone will say, hey, you know what, I think it's worth X amount more than what you paid for it.
And this is all so new that I think that there's probably a lot of risk for like being roasted on your deals because because you go to some NFT website to buy whatever you want to do, I don't know if I don't know what the legit ones are or whatever, but you could just be totally screwed and your NFTs all of us you bought a duplicate. You didn't even buy an NFT.
Who knows? Yeah.
So I think that there's obviously no
stick with Sotheby's.
Yeah, exactly. Buy it at auction.
Yeah.
I don't really think that there's a regulatory environment for this right now. I think we're like way behind in the US specifically.
Digitally, yes.
Because we're still thinking about regulating cryptocurrencies and not really getting anywhere on that. And then we've got this is behind it. It's kind of using the same technology, so we have no regulation really on this either. So I think it's a thing for the future.
I think, like you said, it's one of those there where couldn't people make a lot of money? Yeah. Have they? Yeah. Will some more people? Yeah.
But will they lose? So. Will someone lose a lot of money?
There's going to be some losers in here as well when it comes to investing in anything. There's, people who make the right decisions. There'll be somebody who spends a lot of money on something and then realizes that maybe that's not in high demand and they overpaid. And so in general, just be careful. Make sure you fully understand what you're investing in and make sure you're not taking too much weighting into one decision for your financial future.
Yeah, that's probably the overall thought that we have is, at least at this point, this is not something that not saying that this is necessarily the case for your financial situation, so talk to your advisor, but generally speaking, probably not best to have a ton of eggs in the NFT basket as far as your long-term financial planning.
Right.
It's just so new and unknown at this point.
Yep. But if you do see out there NFT for 1 of 101, and it's a picture of a digital one, just know that's probably real valuable.
That's probably you better bid that one up pretty good. So yeah, there you have it. That's where we sit on NFTs. It's kind of a hot topic right now. So hopefully you learned something. As always, check out our free gift to you. It's a brief list of 8 principles of timeless investing. Their overarching investment theme is meant to keep you on track to meet your long-term goals. And no, we do not at all talk about NFTs because, like we said, it's probably not something that's going to that we think should have a major impact on your long-term goals. Check it out. It's free on our website. Josh, how can people help us grow this podcast?
Like always, make sure you subscribe. That way you get our new podcast every Thursday. And then leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Helps us rank higher so more people can find our podcast. if you have any ideas or have questions about the NFT, or you've done one yourself, I'd love to hear about it. So shoot us an email at hello@theinvesteddads.com. And then if you know somebody who's asking about NFTs or have a good acronym for that, let us know.
That's right. All right. Well, until next Thursday, have a great week.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Invested Dads podcast. This episode has ended, but your journey towards a better financial future doesn't have to. Head over to theinvesteddads.com to access all the links and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and we had a positive impact on your life, leave us a review, click subscribe, and don't miss the next episode. Josh Robb and Austin Wilson work for Hicks & Zerker Capital Management. All opinions expressed by Josh, Austin, or any podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Hicks & Zerker Capital Management. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Clients of Hicks & Zerker Capital Management may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast. There is no guarantee that the statements, opinions, or forecasts provided herein will prove to be correct. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Indices are not available for direct investment. Any investor who attempts to mimic the performance of an index would incur fees and expenses which would reduce returns. Securities investing involves risk, including the potential for loss of principal. There is no assurance that any investment plan or strategy will be successful.